This is Cruise Radio.
Cruise Radio is brought to you in part by tripinsurance.com. Travel insurance done right by the people who know travel insurance. Get a quote today at tripinsurance.com.
Broadcasting from the tripinsurance.com studios in Jacksonville, Florida.
This is
Cruise Radio.
Amy just returned from a 7-night Eastern Caribbean cruise on Norwegian Cruise Line's Norwegian Aqua, the third in the Prima class, and she joins us on the line. Hello, Amy.
Hi.
I was trying to remember our first time chatting. You sailed NCL. When was that?
24.
Wow, it's already been 2 years. That's insane.
I know.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see what your thoughts are going from Alaska to the Caribbean with NCL. But before we do that, we'll take a step back. What made you want to take this 7-nighter on Norwegian Aqua?
Leading up to the holidays, I don't want to bring a sad story in it, but we lost my mom this past year. And that was kind of like the last person, in my immediate family. And I always thought that I would want to take a cruise on during Christmas. Once my mom passed, just the four of us, my husband and 2 kids, I thought that'd be a good way to have our first Christmas together, something different. I've always wanted to see a cruise ship all decorated for Christmas. I think it would be really pretty. And my college-age son said that he wasn't interested in that at all. He wanted to be at home. So I wanted to respect his wishes. You never know how long they're going to be home for Christmas. So I wanted to stay home with him. But then I thought, well, hey, we'll just go the week after. Well, actually, we left the 4th. But because he'll still be home for college, he can watch my teenage daughter. Mm-hmm. So it worked out. So just my husband and I went.
It all worked out. So you're in the Nashville area. You made your way down from Tennessee to Miami. Any pre-cruise time?
Yes, we like to always fly down a day early, just get our vacation started early. We took like a 5 o'clock flight. We were in Miami all day. It was great. So we, just to let you know, to get to Miami, we stayed in South Beach. To go from the airport to South Beach, you can take a public bus. It's actually only $2.25 from the airport. So I was thinking we would do that. You can save money wherever you can. But it actually takes about an hour to hour and a half to get there. And we were hungry and tired, still like mid-morning. So we just took an Uber. It was only about 20 minutes. So where we stayed was called the Fairwind Hotel. It wasn't a fancy hotel by any means. Looking into hotel prices, it is very expensive to stay in Miami in the winter. The rooms that I was looking at are, $300 to $500, and you can go in the fall and spend like a third of that price. So anyway, we ended up finding it through Airbnb. It was cheaper to book it that way. Mm-hmm. It was just one street back. It was on the corner of 10th and Collins Avenue. And Collins is just one street back from Ocean Drive, which is the main drive with all the Art Deco hotels and the beach right there. So it was a great location. We headed out, we walked on the beach, and I was really debating renting chairs because there's chairs that you can rent along the beach, but I thought we'd have some upcoming beach days. So we decided just to tour around. We made our way down to, it's a beautiful beach though. The water's very pretty. It's a very wide beach. We made it all the way down to South Point Park, just as far as south as you can walk there and watch the sunset. That's a great place to watch the sunset. It's so beautiful. And another thing is you get to see the cruise ships leave. So that was neat. So after we went and watched the sunset and the cruise ships, we headed back up towards all the Art Deco, buildings. They're so pretty and pastel and have the neon lights at night. And the one neat thing is when we were there, the main drag, the Ocean Drive, it was closed to vehicles. I guess they do that around Christmas for a week or two. So all the restaurants had extended seating areas like into the street, which was really neat. So you could just kind of walk up and down and it was still decorated for Christmas. So it's all really pretty. Just one thing to note, that everything in Miami Beach has a 20% service charge. So just keep that in mind. You have 2 drinks service charge and tax. It was like 2 drinks for $50. It's quite expensive down there.
Oh, yeah. Bring your wallet. So you head the next morning to Port Miami. A lot of congestion over the past couple of months down there. Did you get caught up in any of that?
Oh my gosh, yes. It was a mess. So 2 weeks prior to the cruise, you go online, you check in, you get your check-in time, and I was all excited. I got the 9 to 9:30 time. I thought, this is great. We'll get a nice early start on the ship. But when I looked at our paperwork, my husband was booked at noon. So I don't know how I managed to check myself in and not him. So I guess I was just checking in for the stateroom. So anyway, long story short, we thought, well, when there's I didn't want to show up and then turn us away. So we just got a late start. And I thought, well, maybe most of the traffic will be died down by then. I was wrong. So we called a Lyft, and it took 59 minutes to go the 6 miles to the airport. It was just an absolute nightmare. Our Lyft driver said there was 10 ships in that day on Sunday. So that's what, 40 to 50,000 people trying to get in and out of that cruise, that little island where there's 10 cruise ships. It was crazy. I know there's construction going on, and maybe that was one of the reasons, and hopefully it'll get better after that. And I just like to note here, I see online, people ask what terminal Norwegian uses, and they use Terminal B in that at the Port of Miami. There was also another ship, or actually it was the Norwegian Jewel, the one we took in Alaska, was docked right behind us. So I guess that would be the other one, C, B, and C, or something like that. But anyway.
To go 6 miles, 59 minutes from South Beach to the cruise port. So once you get to Terminal B, how long did it take from the curb to the ship?
Oh, yeah. Once we got there, it was easy peasy. It was only about 20 to 25 minutes from curb to ship. We just walked through security. They took our picture and gave us our cards, and they had already started boarding. So we just walked right on. It was great.
Norwegian Aqua is almost a year old. It launched in March of 2025, and you recently sailing on Norwegian Pearl in Alaska, or Norwegian Jewel, excuse me. What were your first impressions walking on board Aqua?
Oh my gosh, it was like night and day difference. It's, new, modern. Everything was just beautiful. I mean, it was breathtaking when you walk into that 3-story atrium there on the bottom floor. And what I also noticed is not only, all the beautiful lighting and all the white, everything just seemed to be white and new and modern, is that they just had all these floor to ceiling windows. As far as you could see, it was so open, like all the way you could see this, the sky and the ocean from there. That's, I think, is really neat. I'm glad how they started opening up more of it to the ocean. I've been on some, MSC ship, and it was like we were in a shopping mall, inside the main corridor of the ship. And it's just like, that's what I think you're on the cruise to enjoy the ocean. So I'm glad and they're newer ships. They're adding more of that along with the Deck 8, all those seats all around the whole ship, and all the windows. I thought it was just beautiful.
What kind of stateroom did you book for this 7-night cruise, and what did you think of it throughout your voyage?
We booked an inside cabin. We really don't mind inside cabins. We usually sleep really well, and it's nice and cool. I did bid on an upgrade. We didn't end up getting it. And really, like I said, we don't mind the inside cabin. I just wish they had a couch or somewhere to sit besides just on the bed. But I know you get what you pay for. It's just a bed and a bathroom, essentially. But I was kind of hoping for the ocean view just to get the big couches that I saw in the rooms, on videos and things like that. And another thing to note, this was the same type of inside cabin that we had on the Jewel. It's an inside, but it's laid out differently than most of the cabins. So it's when you open the door, you're kind of in the middle of the room. So the bathroom's to the one side and your bed is to the other. It kind of makes the room feel not quite as claustrophobic as having to, have the door in between the closets and the bathroom, like normal. The normal inside rooms are configured, if that makes sense. But it was beautiful. It was, again, just really beautiful, nice and modern. And the bathroom was lovely. And it seems so large compared to other bathrooms. I know it probably couldn't be, but they had it laid out really well, like a large sink and shelving, and also the glass doors, the shower, and the bathroom. The toilet was perfectly even, next to the sink, so you weren't bumping your knees like you were on the Jewel.
Yep.
They have the USB-C chargers on the lamps next to the bed. That was nice to have your phone there next to the bed to charge at night. I use my phone as a noise machine when we're traveling. And 3 big closets. I mean, we had plenty more space than we needed for the 2 of us for a week.
Let's talk about the food on board Norwegian Aqua. We'll start at the buffet area, which is by the pool. Seaside grill, surfside grill, something like that. What did you think of it? And did it ever feel too crowded?
Yes. Okay. Yes. That's what I was going to say. So the biggest complaint that I read about this ship is the size of the buffet. It is small. Yeah. I mean, it's really pretty small. It's just one little portion, not all the way from from middle to aft. I mean, just little area. And the food is good, though. I mean, I thought it was good. It's not a huge variety, but everything tasted really good. But it is hard to find a seat. Luckily, we actually had passes to the Vibe, and they had tables and chairs in the Vibe. So it was just right outside the buffet, actually. So you could take your food out there, which was really nice. But just a note, too, about that. During breakfast and lunch, they opened the other side of the ship from the buffet, I guess the starboard side, which normally has the Sukhothai, the Thai restaurant, and Palomar dining room.
Mm-hmm.
They have those open to sit, but nobody was ever in there. I don't think they do a good job about telling people about that. I mean, I love the washy, happy guy in Norwegian ships that sit. He stands right outside the buffet to hit you with the hand sanitizer. Maybe he could be like, hey, this side's open to sit here, or something like that. But that was nice and an unknown fact. So if you're in the buffet, if you're on this ship and you don't have the Vibe, try to hit the other dining areas. It's a lot quieter.
And down on 8, how was the Indulge food hall?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I loved it. So it's a great venue. It's beautifully decorated. There's little nooks and crannies and areas. There's like greenery and cool like draperies. It's hard to explain, but also, how do I know that? Because we were walking around forever trying to find a seat. Mm-hmm. It is crowded. I think the word's out on the Indulge. But it's kind of like, I think they've probably talked about, I think you had somebody else that kind of described Indulge, but you sit down to a table, you have an iPad, and you're ordering from different, quote, kind of like food truck or food stall type stations. And it's really great. I mean, you can pick, it's buffet for breakfast, but lunch and dinner you order from the iPad. The food is very good, but it's very rich. I felt that, we kind of hit it pretty hard the first couple of days. And after that, I kind of needed to take a break. I was like, okay, we need to find something else. It was just getting, but I do have to say, except the bacon wrapped dates with blue cheese, I think I stopped in there at some point every day to have those. Nice. Those are very good. And also the open times, just look at the Freestyle Daily because their open times vary quite a bit. And I keep all mine, and I was trying to write down the times, if I could, tell everybody on the interview here, but it was like somewhere at 2:30 or 3. And just to note, they're pretty serious about that. I mean, at 3:01, they turned those iPads off. Mm-hmm. We were sitting one area and watched at least a dozen people try to sit down in this booth next to us and then realize, like, is it broken? What's going on? Like, they're pretty serious about those times. And so after that, whenever the lunchtime is over and the buffet stops around the same time, 2-ish. So now the backside of the buffet going towards the Vibe, towards the back, they have a Surfside grill with hamburgers and hot dogs. That and the Local, which is another complimentary place, are the only places to eat between those awkward times in the afternoon, and they just get really, really packed, like right when everybody's coming back from the excursions. So anyway, just keep that in mind. And they did tell me that in the back of the Indulge, they have a bar. It's a Luna Bar, mm-hmm. and that serves as their brew house, like their on-ship brew house, they told me. They have the most selections of draft beers there, FYI. And then on the backside, going outside to the outside area, kind of mirroring the Luna, they have another bar called Soleil Bar. And it seemed like again, the times in the Freestyle Daily just says from 10 or 10:30 a.m. to close. But we would go in the evenings, and they'd always seem to be closed. So I don't know why. That would be a beautiful place to hang out in the evening with the aft views. It was gorgeous out there, but it was never open in the evening. I guess those bartenders went down to like the inside bars, I suppose, where all most people were. And another thing, too, they're not great about clearing plates. Mm-hmm. You see the servers in the buffet, and that's pretty much what they do, right? That's their job, is just to have that table. They see the dirty dishes, they clear it. But what they have them doing in the Indulge, I tried to notice this. It's like, what is going on here? Why are all these tables just, because that's not like a ship to have dirty dishes like in a buffet, But the servers are also bringing drinks to the tables. So I think they're doing drink service and trying to clear plates, and it's just a lot. Maybe they should have some people just doing the drinks. It almost seemed like they had a section like you would at a restaurant, or like they do in the dining room, like they had a section of 5, 6 tables, and that was what the ones they had to bring drinks and then clear. So if they got backed up, with a big table with lots of drinks, there sits the dirty dirty dishes, and then it's kind of hard for you to find a seat. And the little food halls, they do have seating right, like where you can watch them make your food, just right up front, like a little bar type area. I mean, well, counter area, but you can only order from that specific one. So just keep that in mind. If you really want to go to the Indian place, don't sit at the noodle place, because then you won't get it.
What did you think about the local?
That's a great place. It's the same as O'Shea Hands on some of the ships. It's called O'Shea Hands. Open 24 hours. Actually, it's closed from 3:30 to 5 a.m. But they have good pub food, burgers and wings. I stopped in a few times after the casino. And they also have they have a sit-down order from the menu breakfast, which it never seemed like there was many people in there. So keep that in mind if you don't want to fight the main dining room.
Let's talk about the main dining room. There is Commodore and Hudson?
So Hudson's is the one in the back on deck 7. It's just beautiful. It's all windows, it's just ocean views as far as you can see. They only are open for lunch on sea days, and they do have the same menu on both the sea days, I found. But they have a rotating menu for dinner. The food was good. There was a few things that were great. I have to mention the appetizer. It was like meatballs or something. That was the best thing I had on the ship all week, I think, besides the steak. They have some unusual fish dishes. Some of them were really good. One was not, but that's the only thing that I really didn't care for. One thing to mention, in Hudson's, it's beautiful, and we were there one day, I think it was breakfast. It sounded like there was just like this rattling noise. And I looked up that it was pretty rocky that day. And I looked up, the beautiful chandeliers are like gold with like little crystals. And I could have sworn those crystals are just like sitting there rattling. It was driving me crazy. I'm just one of those people that just hate noises like that. I think the worst thing would be in like a quiet room with just a clock ticking. I think that would drive me insane. So these noises, and I said, we're going to have to move. I mean, I thought this is ridiculous. And my husband said, no, it's like a panel. It's like one of the panels. And I'm just thinking, this is a new ship. It just doesn't seem like they would. I found little things throughout the week. I'll talk more about them, but that was one of the things I thought, this is almost a brand new ship. It seems like those little things. There was another rumbling noise, almost sounding like the engine noise, but I know the engines are not in the back per se, I think they said on this ship. But anyway, it was really loud, and to the point where I got up to use the bathroom, you couldn't hear it, like leaving. It was just that generalized area of maybe like a dozen tables. It was just very strange.
Was the service okay?
Yeah, it was good. It was good. My husband thinks the service was better in the Commodore. And I think that's because, we were there later. So Hudson's is open from 5 to 9. Commodore is from 5:30 to 9:30. And when my husband and I were traveling, we eat rather late. So usually we'd be going to dinner about 9. So we'd end up at the Commodore. And it's smaller. It's like, kind of like darker, low lighting, like greens and dark brown wood, more like a country club feel, if that makes sense. And he thought that the service was better there, but I think it was just because maybe they weren't as crowded. They could give you more of their time because they had less people that they were serving at the time.
How about the specialty restaurants? What package did you have? I know they had free at sea, then they shifted to more at sea, and now it's back as of 2026 at free at sea again.
Yes. I have to say, unfortunately, we were under the more at sea package. And I say that because we only had one specialty meal included with the inside room. Previously, with the free at sea, and it's what it's gone back to with the free at sea, that you're granted however many specialty meals depending on the length of your cruise. For a 7-day cruise, you would be given 3 meals, no matter if you had an inside or balcony. But the more at sea, I only had 1 meal because you were on the inside. The balconies had 3 meals. So that kind of stinks. But anyway, with our 1 meal, we went to Palomar. We just wanted to try it, being that we had never been there. It's a new restaurant for us. And we like steak, and we've had Cagney's in the past, but I kind of just read that this Cagney's wasn't, I don't know, as good as other Cagney's. Who knows, Also, I just didn't like the Cagney's on this ship. While it was beautifully decorated, didn't seem like a steakhouse. It had like funky green chairs or something. I don't know. But anyway, we wanted to go to Palomar, so we did. It's mainly seafood, but they do have a steak on the menu. We had a New York strip. It was Perfectly cooked. It was very good, and some yummy seafood appetizers. We did, just because we only had the one and I wanted to try Onda, we did pay for that meal. It was $40 a person, so a little bit less than some of the other ones. And you actually got a ton of food in that restaurant. You got appetizers plus salads, a pasta dish, and like a main. So, oh my gosh, it was so much food. And they had salmon there, and that's the only menu I could find salmon. And I love salmon. So we went there. It was good. It was. I'm not sure with the tip, being $96 better than the main dining room. I probably wouldn't do it if it wasn't included, honestly, because the main dining room food is really good. Let's see. Oh, and one little thing I'd note, I know people get pretty upset if they don't have reservations going into their cruise. And I believe how it was set, maybe it was because it was a new ship. You had to make them. They didn't have anything ahead of time. You had to get your dinner reservations once you boarded the ship. And I got a reservation for Palomar, but when I did look, it looked like they were booked. I think they say they hold back some, so you can get it on ship if you needed it. But we just walked up to the hostess for one night. We wanted to go to Onda about 8:30, and I said, "Do you have anything? Can you seat us?" And she goes, "Yeah, just give me a few minutes. Go to the bar, enjoy yourself, come back in a little bit." And so while we were sitting there, we looked over the menu. We're like, gosh, we're just not really that hungry. Like, if we're going to spend the money, like, let's do this another night. So we went back and she said, "Oh, I was just about to seat you." I said, no, that's okay. We're going to try again tomorrow. We're just not that hungry, tonight. She's like, okay. So we showed back up the next night. She remembered us. She remembered our name, and she had a table ready for us, and she sat us immediately. I thought that was a nice touch. Yeah. It was very nice. And we didn't have reservations. So that was very much appreciated.
I'm kind of skipping around a little bit here, but I want to get to Sea Days really quick because this ship is 10% larger than the other Prima class ships. So how were they as far as crowds and congestion?
Yeah, so I think I might have mentioned it, but we had the Vibe passes, Vibe Beach Club on the ship, which spent most of the time in there. But we did walk around just because I wanted to see the ship. And, being that it's a new ship, we've never been. So we did, we walked around on the Sea Days and things, and it seemed pretty crowded. The pool seems quite small for a ship that large, like the main pool on deck 17. What is kind of nice about it is it looks like a deep portion of the pool and then like a real shallow edge. So you can kind of sit around and get your feet in there. It kind of makes it a little bit bigger. But they don't even see how some have like a second, like another deck above the main pool with more seating options. They didn't have that. It was just, the main deck. That was the top deck right there. But they do have around the 8th deck 2 infinity pools with loungers and things. And those were nice to kind of spread the crowd out. That did seem like most of the loungers were taken. You could find one here or there. I wouldn't say they were completely full. But that deck 8 is just beautiful. I mean, walking around, you have like different little seating areas. I know that sounds strange without seeing it, but I mean, they would have so many different styles of chairs, different colors, different high back chairs, like loungers. It looked like you were in a portico or like a little cabana, just all these little nooks and crannies, just all the way around deck 8 that really kind of brought people, around and spread people out there. I think they did a great job with that.
Did you do the aqua coaster?
Oh, yeah, I did it. I did it once. We came back early one day from a port, and we got on just right as it was opening, so there was no line. That was nice. It's pretty thrilling. I mean, that going up there, you're like, oh gosh. But then once that releases you, the magnetic arm or whatever that pushes you up at 30 miles an hour, you come to the tippy top, and you just kind of float down the rest of the way. So that was it was after that first little rush, it was just kind of, like relaxing that way. And the only thing this sounds silly to say, I got wet on a water slide, but right when you got to the tippy top, it just splashed you. I think your little raft that you're riding kind of went up to the side, and just a huge splash of water went all over my face. And I was kind of mad about it the whole time. So I didn't ride it again, but it was fun. I'm glad I did it.
We skipped right over the entertainment. So I want to back up for a moment and ask you about the entertainment on the ship. And did you catch any of the new shows like the Prince show or any?
Oh my gosh, I did. That was the best thing ever. So let me just back up to say that the only show you need to book is The Price is Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's done the first day, right when you, after you get on the ship, you go to the main theater on deck 6 and you register if you want to attend on that show. And I imagine that's because they want to get everyone's name because they pick people from the audience. That was a lot of fun. I mean, if you kind of grew up watching that show, that was a hoot. The Price is Right. But as far, and what a nice thing also that first day they gave you a little printout that was for your whole week. It showed what days, what shows were on which days and what time. So then you can go right there and make your dinner reservations, if you want to see the Prince show at 7, so that was a nice touch. I think I wish a lot of ships did that, just so you can plan out your week, because I'm a big planner.
Yeah.
Plan out the week. So yes, the Prince show. So I think you mentioned it on the other review that you did about the Aqua, but you can sit in the theater seats on decks 7 and 8, and that's a pretty small theater, even with deck 6 out. I mean, I think I looked it up. It was 571 seats, and that's for like 3,500 guests. So I could see it's hard to get into shows, but we knew we wanted to be on deck 6. I like being on the floor at like a concert, so I knew I wanted to be there. I didn't even try to find a seat. And it is really neat how the floor moves around and you just kind of move around it. But I love Prince. I would have loved to see him perform live, but this was the next best thing. I mean, they sounded just like him. I mean, I had goosebumps, like I was in a real concert. The performers were great, super high energy. We were just dancing around like crazy the whole time. And what was kind of neat is later in the cruise, we're coming back, from a port, from our excursion, walking back to the ship. And I look over and 3 of the performers were there from the Prince show. And I just went over like a fangirl. I was like, oh my gosh, I just wanted to tell you, you guys did a great job. And we loved it. And he goes, where were you sitting? I was like, oh no, I was front and center. I was down there dancing like crazy. And he goes, oh my gosh, we love that so much. And I don't remember exactly what they said, but they were just saying how they get so much energy, and they love that. They get that from the crowd. It really does help them during their performance. They get a rise from it. So I thought that was kind of neat. We also went to see Rumors. It's a Fleetwood Mac show. We actually went on deck 7, and just a little another thing. There's main seats that, look straight ahead. I guess you're looking forward right to the stage, but there's some on the side on deck 7. There might be on 8 as well, but deck 7 does. And I don't think a lot of people saw those. So we got a really good seat just right there on deck 7. You're kind of looking at it at an angle, but still you're just right there. There was no one in front of us. There's only like 2 or 3 rows right there. And I mean, I'm sure everyone's heard Fleetwood Mac, you hear them on the classic rock stations, but I never knew the history. I loved how they were kind of, as they were singing the songs, they were explaining, the relationships between the members. I mean, they were all married and then got divorced, and, the history and the relationships between them. It was really neat. It was cool. I liked that show a lot.
How it's live music and not tracked, just perfect.
Yeah. I mean, they looked like the members of Fleetwood Mac. They sounded like them. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah. I don't know how they found these people to be almost exact twins. It was amazing. They also had another show, Elements. I guess it's like a Cirque du Soleil type show, but normal shows I would like that. I would see that, but I didn't. The rumored 30 minutes to an hour long. It wasn't that long wait. It wasn't worth it to me to wait that long to see it. If that makes sense. Usually
fair
I don't
enough.
like jukebox musicals and stuff. I'm not interested in that. So my husband, I was like, do you want to see it? He's like, no. I was like, okay. I mean, that was the decision. That was easy enough. It's funny. They also do have like the themed parties. And the very first night was the 90s party. And I thought, oh no, am I getting that old? Like I thought they used to have 80s. Now we're doing 90s parties. Anyway, I was just kind of getting a laugh at that. But no, they do have, just to know, they have 90s, 80s, and 70s. And then the glow party, the white party they do on the Lido deck. That was a lot of fun. They also, I just wrote down comedy. They have a comedy club. We never did check that out. And the small, Sid Norman's, the smaller space. I think we kind of just wandered in there one night and listened to a little music. But again, it's a small Like, I love all these different things that they have going, but they all just seem so small, so it's hard to find a space unless you really want to camp out, ahead of time. They showed some movies in the pool. Let's see, after the themed deck parties, they opened up the improv for like a club with a DJ. But honestly, after the themed parties, usually I would just head to the casino.
How was the casino and the smoking situation?
I'm happy to report that it is non-smoking, which I love. Okay. That is so great. The slots, they're all new. They're nice and new. Didn't really have much luck at all on those slots. Oh, I just did want to mention that I think you had asked another person about the Norwegian casino if they had any information about their point type system. So you get 1 point per $5 through the slot machine. Video poker is 1 point for $10. And I did see something. I don't know if it was the host or the cashier or something. It kind of listed, you have this many points. You get a free interior. Well, towards the end of the cruise, and I played craps a couple nights too, and I never really know how they give you points for table games. It's like how much you're betting and the long as you're there. But I would just wake up, and just put my card in the slot machine and be like, how many points do I have now? Going into the last day, I had like 460 or 70 or something. And on the sign, I know it said if you have 500 points, you get $250 off a cruise. So I tried to just play to get to that 500 points. So we'll see how that works out.
You were chasing it.
Yeah, I was. I know that you probably shouldn't be doing. Actually, I did terrible the whole week, but I was like, I gotta get to 500, and I actually ended up winning a little bit on the last day. So I got 500 points and had some money in my pocket. So that was nice. I do wanted to say something about craps because I love that game so much. But anyway, it was so strange. So normally you go to a table, and there's a minimum, right? $10, $25. One day I walked up to the table, and if you're familiar with the craps table, it's kind of mirrored on both sides. You can stand on either side. And one side was $25 minimum, and the other side was $10. Well, guess where everyone's crammed over into the $10 side? I've never seen that anywhere. So anyway, after a couple, hour or so, I think when nobody was playing 25, they made it all 10. But I thought that was kind of comical. And and just a little thing here too. Like I like the game. I love showing people how to play it and explain it. But just it's real hard, like when it's a real busy table, to like kind of stop and talk about it. Just if anyone's interested in playing craps, like a lot of times the dealers will help you go, like maybe someday that it's really not crowded, sometimes it's empty, right? They'll help you. They'll tell you kind of what to do. The thing about craps is there's like 100 things you can bet on, but you don't have to bet on everything, right? It's very easy with just the minimal basis of the game. So anyway, that's just a FYI. So many people came up to me on this cruise and were like, what are you doing? What are you doing that? And I guess maybe because there's not many women that play, and like I'm a mom, maybe I just look like a mom and like felt comfortable asking me and everything.
When all else fails, put it on the pass line.
That's right. Yeah, if it's a $10 table, just take your chips, put $10 on the pass line, and you'll either win or lose. You don't have to bet on another thing.
Any other entertainment before we move to ports of call?
We did. It's really cool. They've got like what they call a glow cord. It's like an interactive type thing. We didn't have closed-toe shoes. We didn't check that out. But they've like cornhole, foosball, beer pong, stuff like that, all on deck 18. But the one thing we did play was the mini golf. It's $5 a person. No big deal. That's pretty not expensive, I think. So we tried it. It's really neat. It keeps score for you, but it's not like 1 point for one stroke. Like sometimes you would answer a question, true or false. And then if you got it right, you got more points. So the point system was kind of really strange. You couldn't really figure it out. And it also had quite a few glitches in it. And again, for being a new cruise ship, I thought, well, this is odd. What are they going to do going forward? And whatever you do, if you do play that, do not pick up your ball. Like if you want to pick it up and move it just a little bit, away from the wall, don't do that. Because as soon as you pick it up, it starts counting strokes. So anyway, it was a little learning curve to play the mini golf, but it was cute. It was themed really well, and it was really cute. And they also have like a bar with darts. They call it the bullseye bar. And that's really neat too. They're actual real metal darts. We thought they would probably be like the plastic ones that they have, so you don't poke your eye out. But it was real metal darts. And when you hit, like let's say there's all different little games, but we just wanted to play cricket, like the traditional darts game. So when you're shooting at your numbers, it wasn't working right. Like it wouldn't, sometimes I would hit it, it wouldn't give me credit for it. And sometimes I'd hit like the wrong number, even off the board, and it'd be like, oh, you got a 20 or whatever. It was just very strange. So just being a new ship, I'm just wondering how those things are going to go forward. Little, like I said, little nitpicky things that I'm finding on the cruise. But again, just makes you wonder, like, great concept. I just hope it, continues.
We were talking about sea days earlier, and you mentioned the Vibe Pass a couple of times. How was the experience in there?
Oh, my gosh. Okay. If you can do it, do it. I'd 100% do it again. It was wonderful. So really, actually, when you look at it, what I spent on this, which is a good deal, the inside room and the cost of the Vibe was still hundreds, like I'm talking hundreds of more than a couple dollars less than having a balcony room. And I mean, the Vibe was like having a huge balcony all to yourself, right? With a bar and fruit and okay. So I'll tell you all the good things about this area. So first of all, they only sell a limited number of passes. And I know it's kind of hard. That's another thing. It's hard to get a pass to that. I don't remember exactly how many they said. I've asked at one point how many they sell. But when they hit their limit, they stop selling it because they want it to be they don't want it to be overrun with people. But they do also, just FYI, they sell it for $99 per person on port days. I guess figuring the people that are in there off on the port. It's open 24 hours. So you have your little key card and you just swipe it and the doors open. And so you can come and go as you please. The bar is only open from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. They don't have a pool. There's no pool. There's 2 hot tubs. But they did have seating area, with tables and chairs. So you could bring your buffet food or whatever food you wanted. You could sit in there. I liked it going in first thing in the morning. Usually I wake up before my husband does. So I went up there most mornings, read my book, watched the sunrise. It was wonderful. They have like padded loungers. They also have like these round type couch looking things. It's like a lounger, if you can imagine, round with pillows on the ends. So it was a lot of fun. The bartenders, of course, were awesome. They'll make you just about anything you wanted. We were pulling up drinks on our phones, like me and this other woman, like, can you make this? And if they had the stuff, they'd make it for you. And another thing, when you're at the loungers, there's little table side and the tables by it, and they'd bring you a whole carafe of ice water. I wish every bar had those. Honestly, I drink a lot of water. That was a nice touch. It kind of reminded me like of a smaller all-inclusive resort, right? You could always find a lounger. You're never fighting for seats. You had the dedicated bar. You didn't have to stand in line. Very rarely, like maybe one person was ordering ahead of you. It was great. So we went in there most morning, we were in and out almost all the time, but our favorite time would be up there. And quite honestly, it's my favorite time to just be at the beach in general, like mid-afternoon, when it's not as hot, the sun's still out, but then it starts to get cool and stay till sunset. And that's kind of when people start going back to their rooms and getting ready. Yeah. So we would just sit there. And by the time they were closing that bar, a lot of times we were the only ones there. Nice. It was great. They closed at 7 and we just hop in the hot tub and there was, I would say, at least 3 to 4 nights we were the only ones in there for like a couple hours in the evening. It was heaven. It was great. If you can do it, do it. I would 100% recommend it. Because there's no way I would spend that much time on my balcony. Right. I love a balcony to go out there again, early morning, read, look at the ocean. But I don't sit out, the Vibe. I got more use out of a balcony I would ever get a use out of a balcony, I should say.
Did you do the cost difference between how much your interior against a balcony would have cost?
Yeah, the balcony. And I didn't mention this. Maybe like lots of people, right? You do mock bookings. I do it all the time to be like, oh, this is a great deal. So I went to do a mock booking, and this is how we ended up on this cruise as well. And it showed a $500 credit from previous casino credit. So I'm not exactly sure how I got that. Never got an email. No one ever told me I had that. It just was magically on there. So I guess if we can just talk numbers, I spent $2,000 on our room with that discount, the $500 discount, and a balcony was every bit of $1,000 to maybe $1,500 more than that.
Okay.
And actually, I overheard someone talking very loudly on one of our excursions that she spent $7,000 on her room.
Jeez.
I'm thinking, oh my gosh, are you in the Haven? Like, I don't think so. I think she just had a regular room. So I don't know why cruises, they just kind of wildly, I guess leading up to it, I don't know, the prices wildly are different. But I thought it was a great deal, and the vibe was, I want to say right under about $600 for two of us for the week. It was like 570-ish something. It was hard kind of spending that money on myself, like right before Christmas. It was a hard decision. I just went back and forth, but I kind of just told my husband, don't ask about it. It's a surprise for Christmas. Mm-hmm. So I kind of led it as that, but I'm glad I would pay for it over again. Yeah.
Let's talk about your ports of call here on this 7-night Caribbean. So you leave Port Miami. What was your first port and what did you do there?
First stop was Puerto Plata in Dominican Republic. So again, there's two different ports there. Dominican Republic, I believe Carnival uses Amber Cove and Carnival ships Princess and Holland and such, but NCL and I think everyone else goes to Tainu Bay. I think I'm saying that right. Okay. I don't know. And that's really a cool port area. I mean, my girlfriend and I 2 years ago on the MSC ship, we stayed there. We didn't even leave the port area. I mean, there's a pool, swim up bar, restaurants, a lazy river. It's really a nice port. And that's what we were thinking about doing. But my husband, he likes to scuba dive. So we found a trip, and I do not dive, but I like to snorkel. So I thought maybe I kind of started sending some emails and things. Can anybody accommodate, on a day trip, a scuba diver and a snorkeler? And we found someone in Dominican Republic. We were so excited about it. He didn't ask for any money ahead of time, just said, tell us what day you'll be there. Somebody will be right outside the port area to pick you up, take you to the dive shop. And we're like, okay, great. So we walk through, it's a little bit of a walk, 10, 15 minutes-ish or something to go all the way through. And, once you get out of that port area, there's just a million people there wanting to sell you something, mm-hmm. So we're kind of looking around, see if we can find our guy, and we're not having any luck. And finally somebody grabbed me. He said, who are you looking for? And he's like, oh, yeah, I know that guy. I haven't seen him. I was like, okay. So he calls him. I had the email pulled up, with his phone number. And we didn't have any cell service, on the island. We don't have, we didn't get an international plan or anything. So he called the guy for us. And then he hung up and he said, oh, yeah, it's canceled.
What?
I said, what? And so he said, yeah, we had a lot of heavy rain yesterday. So it wouldn't, you wouldn't be able to see anything anyway, right? Yeah. It's not good conditions. But I was just kind of upset that the guy didn't, because I checked my email, to see if we heard. He didn't even, that was just kind of disappointing that, he didn't reach out to tell me it was canceled or anything. Maybe we would have stayed on the ship or, just not rushed off or whatever.
Yeah.
I know things cancel. That's not the big deal. So now we're out there, right? And of course, that guy wants to sell us a excursion to the waterfalls or whatever. And I thought, if it's heavy rain, I sure as heck don't want to go down any waterfalls. So anyway, so we're kind of just trying to walk away from the masses to kind of talk to, amongst ourselves to figure out what we're going to do. And all of a sudden, my husband's wearing like Atlanta Braves cap. And this guy comes up to us and he's like, oh, you're a Braves fan. And then starts talking to us. Next thing you know, we've got a tour guide, Francesco. And I knew that, the downtown area with the Pink Street and the Umbrella Street, all the little Instagram hot spots were within walking distance. So I said, hey, you want to show us there? He was like, oh, yeah. So he kind of just took us on a walking tour. It was really nice. Of course, he kind of was like, hey, this is my buddy so-and-so's shop. He wants you to spend money and stuff. And we did some shopping around. They have a real pretty blue stone called Larimar that's only found in the Dominican Republic. So I got some jewelry from my daughter and myself. And, after a while of just walking around, we asked him to take us back to the ship and we gave him a tip. So I guess that's just what he does. Just and he was a really friendly guy, talking to us and telling us the story anyway. So you can totally walk there by yourself. It's not far at all. And we got an early start because we thought we needed to meet him by a certain, our tour guy by a certain time. So there was really no one in the area, but as we were walking back to the ship, just a bunch of people were walking. Don't be frightened to walk around by yourself. It's totally fine. There was a lot of, I guess police, people in uniforms directing traffic. They're like really trying to take care of the tourists. They want your money, so they're going to take care of you.
Okay, and where to next?
So next we're in St. Thomas, and I think we mentioned this earlier, but we had never been to these ports before, so these were all new for us. So this was really exciting. This was fun planning it. So luckily, my husband, we booked a scuba trip for him on this one, and once you get out of the port area on this one, there's taxis, and they're all kind of like Cozumel, right? There's regulated taxi fares. There's a sign, telling you if you're going to this beach, because it's this price, blah, 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 blah. So we went to a beach called Koki Beach, and that's where the dive shop was. So my husband did a shore dive. He's never done that before, just leaving right there from the beach. I don't think there's so many different beaches on that island, and they all look equally beautiful. I know everyone says Megan's Bay is the most beautiful, but they all, looking at videos, you can't tell, right? But it's the same beautiful water all around the island, right? So Koki Beach, but I don't think I'd stop there again. And this is just because it was super crowded. It's talking about how Miami Beach, the sand area is just so wide, from when the sand starts to the water. In Miami Beach, you could put like 100 rows of loungers. On this beach, there was like maybe 3 rows, maybe 4, if that, between the water's edge and like the tree line. So it was really crowded. And of course, I was like, well, yeah, I'll just rent, because, there's guys selling the umbrellas and stuff. I'm renting them. He's like, you want an umbrella? I was like, sure. And then he goes, okay, how about this one right here? It's like, yeah, well, it totally had tree cover. I didn't need that umbrella. He sold me the umbrella, but I have to tell you, I'm glad I had the umbrella, because it made people like walk around. It's made us a little perimeter around our chairs, because it was just that packed with all these people. The one thing though, they have like and I think I heard that this one is the only locals owned bars and restaurants at this beach. And there's people walking around. So there's people walking around selling things, right? You see them carrying their wares or what have you. But unlike Mexico, they don't come up to you. They just are walking around. And if you wanted something, you kind of wave them down. That was nice. And the same thing with the servers. They were carrying around menus, just kind of looking around. And then if you got their attention, they'd come over and they'd wait on you. So I thought that was pretty cool. But anyway, just know that that's, some people like that, right? The crowded, lively area. But walked back, we took a taxi back, and we found a local brewery. It's right outside of it's Havensight, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that's the port that we stopped in at St. Thomas. And there's a brewery, Leatherback Brewery, right there. We just happened to hit happy hour. We were at St. Thomas from 10 to 7. So it's kind of like an afternoon into the evening. And then we got back on the ship after just hitting the happy hour for some snacks and some beer. It was good fun.
Also, that is the perfect time to be there. Most ships call there really early and are out by 2 or 3, where you're having to watch your clock if you want to, venture out from the cruise port. Your time leaving at 7 is amazing.
Yeah. The next day, Tortola, we were there from 6 to 2.
Okay,
Talk about having to watch the clock. Yes, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, because St. Thomas, you're like, oh, we'll be back by dinner, and you can, just kind of wander back, and I know what you mean.
How was Tortola?
Exactly. Okay, so Tortola, the big excursions, right, are either to go to Virgin Gorda to see the baths, or go to like, what is that, Joost Van Dyke? Am I saying that right?
Correct.
To the Soggy Dollar Cafe, right? Those are the 2 big ones. But I thought, I've never even been to Tortola. I feel kind of bad just like getting to an island and then hopping on another boat to go to another island. But long story short, that's what we did. We wanted to go see the baths. After seeing it, it just looked really beautiful. My husband, he's a soil scientist, so he loves anything that has to do with geography. So baths is short for batholith. That's what those giant boulders are. They're granite boulders that kind of scatting around the shoreline. They're formed, years and many, many years ago by volcanic activity and then erosion to the big smooth boulders that you see. So you can either go through the ship excursion, and I do that sometimes, but if I can do it on my own, I like to do that to save money. And I was a little nervous not doing it with the ship because of the tight time constraints that we were talking about earlier. But we ended up going with a local ferry. It's called Speedy Ferry.
Okay.
And that's all it does all day is run back and forth from Virgin Gorda. And I started to feel better when I saw that there was a lot of local people on this waiting to get on the ferry. So, there's children going to school. They had their uniforms on. There's people going to work with uniforms on. And I mean, it was very punctual. So the time's listed. So as long as you didn't miss the ferry, it will get you back to your ship on time.
Okay.
So we said it was only $40 a person. I mean, to go through the ferry, I think it was like 100 and whatever it is on the ship, almost over $200 for two of us.
Wow.
So, anyway, and also we just thought, because like watching videos and stuff, it's just packed, right? It's just packed. And I thought, well, if we didn't go through, I heard people giving their reviews on it, and they're like, well, you just wait in line. Like if you're with your cruise ship excursion, to go through what they call the caves, only one person at a time can go through there. It's a tight area. So people are just waiting in line. It takes forever. So I thought, oh, if we go on our own, we won't have to wait in line. Well, we were wrong about that. But, anyway, it's, you get there, and it's a package they sell. It's the ferry along with the open air taxis, the same ones like they have in St. Thomas. I don't think I mentioned that. It's like an open air type taxi that takes you around the island. I thought it said 45 minutes, but I think it was a little less than that, like a little over 35 minutes ride over on the ferry. And I mean, it's a ferry. It's not a fancy catamaran or anything, what the cruise ship probably has, right? I mean, it's a working ship. And then the open air taxi takes you about 5 minutes. So you come to it's the national, the Bass National Park. It's a national park. So you have to pay $3 to get in there. The taxi driver told us, say, hey, be back at my taxi by 11 o'clock, to make it back to the 11:30 ferry. And we left at 7:45. So we had a few hours there, right? And then when you get there, you're at the top and you can kind of see the ocean is down below you, so you have to hike down. So it kind of makes a loop. And apparently, like I say, you come to two different separate beach areas. The first one you go down to is called Devil's Bay, and it's like a little area roped off a swimming area. There's no food or drink or anything, but you can enjoy that area. And then you're going to go through what I call the caves. And then on the other side of the caves is the Bass. So that's actually what the Bass is another beach area. So apparently talking with somebody once we were finished with our tour there, he said it used to be you could go, in one side or you could go either way, but they've made that now one way because it's just so crowded to go through the actual caves. And I'm saying you're going like you have to crouch down. It's not for people with mobility issues, so keep that in mind. You have to crouch down, go under boulders, walk on wooden walkways, climb ladders. There was one time we had just a rope that you're going backwards, walking down this, holding on to the rope. It was like, so we had water shoes, we had chacos, but honestly, I think it would just be better with bare feet. But you're walking, and you're also walking through water. But it is just, it's kind of like what the Alaska, right? The glaciers. You just can't explain how beautiful it is. You're going through these caves and you see, not only do you see the water, you're going through these tidal pools, but like the way the sun is shining through. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, it's really a once in a lifetime experience. If you can do it, do it. Next time I'll spend time on Tortola, but I'm glad we did it. So we were sitting there. And so we got up to the caves and there's a line. We were thinking, okay, well, we're just going to wait this out. This is probably just the ship excursion. They beat us there. We're just going to wait a few minutes. So we sat there, 10, 15 minutes, and just group after group after group, we're getting in line. So it's just so popular. You just have to get in line. There's just no way around it, I think. But the nice part about it, so once we got through the caves, so in other words, I think it would take you maybe 10 to 15 minutes if you're walking with no crowds. It took us over 45 minutes to go through there. So just know that you're stopping and waiting and standing. We get to the other area, what's now a beach type area. And there's a snack bar, and a couple people selling some souvenirs and such. And so we're sitting there, and after about 5 or 10 minutes, we hear this guy blow a whistle, and then everyone clears out. So I guess everyone that's on the ship excursion, I think the ship excursion was 4 hours, and I knew it was over at like 10 or something, and we didn't have to. So it was a nice time. We had time almost about an hour at the beach with a lot less people.
Wrapping up the ports of call, you went to Great Stirrup Cay, which they do have a dock now that can hold one ship at a time. Were you one of the ships that could actually dock on the island?
We actually got to dock there, which was really nice.
Yeah.
So it's kind of strange. So after Tortola, we had a sea day. And then the last day of the cruise is the Great Stirrup Cay. That's kind of strange to end on a port day. But it was a great, now I have to say my review is I've not been there before when you had to tender. And we also did get the Vibe Beach Pass. So I don't have, before or after to compare it to. But it was nice. I mean, what's there now is beautiful. You can tell they're still doing lots of construction. But when you come in, big, beautiful sign and you walk up. They do have trams if you have trouble walking, but it's not a far walk to walk around the island. You first come to the big, beautiful pool, and it has 2 swim-up bars on one end, on each end. And I kind of walked into the water just to walk in the water, and it was cold, first of all. I guess it is supposed to be heated, but I don't think it was quite working yet or something. And then you keep walking farther in. They have a little splash pad for the kids. I'm sure they have like a soft bottom for that as well. That looked like a lot of fun. My kids would have loved that when they were little. And then after about walking, I don't know, about 20 minutes or so, I feel like, and we were kind of, we weren't walking purposefully. We were, kind of taking our time, looking around. But after about 20 minutes or so, you get to the little Vibe area and you check in there. They give you some armbands and towels. And I think there's a big thing saying bring your towels, but they did have them at the Vibe. So just if you don't want to lug, because we had lugged our towels around with us. But they have them there, so you don't have to worry about that. It's just an area set with big, beautiful, thick lounge chairs. Padding was like 3 or 4 inches thick. The very padded chairs and umbrellas. There is a dedicated buffet area just for the Vibe, and they also have a bar that's just for the Vibe. The food wasn't great. It was a buffet, but right outside the entrance to the Vibe is a food truck, and they had like ceviche and a fish sandwich, and that fish sandwich was pretty good. And the bathrooms are also just right outside the door. But so inside you have the chairs, right? There's some cocktail servers coming around. You have a walk-up bar and the buffet. The lines are kind of long at the bar when you were waiting. There was, I think they're just trying to still get the flow of everything because I believe this is a new area. And also they didn't have as many different kinds of drinks as you can have. No frozen drinks other than they had like a pina colada machine and a daiquiri machine, the Fat Tuesdays or whatever that they have, but they couldn't do like mudslides or that type of things. They wouldn't make you, but they have liquor, it's full liquor at bar. And as of right now, I guess until March 1st, right, the drinks are included with your drink package on the island. It's a beautiful space. And again, it's adults only, just like the Vibe. I don't know if I mentioned that in the Vibe Club on the ship. That's also adults only, which is nice. Now I'll tell you why I don't think I'd pay for it again. It was, as of right now, they were letting you use your $50 shore excursion credit as part of your package towards it. So it was just a little over $100 for 2 of us. I think it's something like 89 a person or something, regular price. And, so really for $100, I thought, well, this is great. If we have it on the ship, we might as well try it here. But I really think that just on the other side of the rope, because it's literally just like all these fancy loungers and right next to it, all the blue loungers, it's just a little rope separating them. There's plenty. Right? Because we're kind of at the far end. So not many people have made it all the way this far, right? So there's plenty of open loungers, even with tree cover and everything. I thought, God, this area is almost less people than this Vibe area. And that was free. But anyway, I don't know where, the bars, right? If that's something, I don't know where they were in comparison to those lounge chairs. You might have to walk 20 minutes. I don't know. But I feel like, which they were lovely and padded, the loungers, that made you, because you're now in the island, it's really hot. Right? So you're laying on this lounger, but it's like you're laying on fire. And the loungers were really heavy. And so were the umbrellas. So it made them kind of moving. And the way they're set up, you couldn't really move them around. So one of us was always kind of still in the sun. If that made sense, we'd have to try to cram both on one chair under an umbrella. I don't know. It just, And they were drink servers, but they were really few and far between. So, so now a lot of the people that we saw there in the Vibe and Great Stirrup Cay were also in the Vibe on the ship. So I just kind of, I just started walking around and asking people like, hey, do you like it? What'd you like about it? Most people said they don't think they'd probably pay for it again. But I had this one woman and she said she would definitely pay for it again because she said, I just don't want to have to think about it. She doesn't want to have to try to find, right? She said, it is what you pay for. So I get it. If you don't want to try to find a spot, she goes, I knew I'd walk in, I'd have a drink in my hand, and I'd have a lounger, and the end. So, it is worth it for some people, right? Just, take what you will from that. But some feel like it was worth it, and some, I don't know if I feel like I got that much of a value on it. Honestly, I think especially if the drink package is not going to be included, I might just dip in the ocean. Oh, the water was really cold in the ocean, by the way. We put our feet in it, but I might just swim around a little bit and then go back to the ship by lunch, and enjoy the vibe on the ship. But anyway, I'm glad we did it. It was a great, I'm glad we got to try it and make our own decision. And please don't let me make that decision for you, but just watch videos and things. Oh, another thing, which I found out, we were at the the guest services at one point, and I noticed that they were still selling, it said Vibe Beach Club right there, right? The passes were like, I think it's now $99 or something, right? Because you're buying it on the ship. But they also had an area called Silver Cove. Now I looked online, at when you pull up your cruise, right, you get to see all the different excursions and the different ports. And I saw excursions listed for Great Stirrup Cay at Silver Cove, but it was just villas, right? And they're quite expensive.
Yeah.
But just an FYI, on board, they're selling day passes to Silver Cove. I think it was $129. So, and it's funny because I was asking, I said, what's the difference between Silver Cove and Vibe? And they couldn't tell me. Like the guest service gentleman goes, oh no, is this private? Yes, it's private. Was it? So anyway, and then some people were saying Silver Cove is just for Haven people. But what it is Silver Cove is all ages. Vibe is adults. Silver Cove is all ages, but they also have a pool, right? And their own separate buffet or restaurant. I didn't get that far into it. I know there's some separate eating area and a pool and a bar. So anyway, if kids don't bother you and you want more of a pool, but yet kind of like in a higher end day, you could also look into Silver Cove.
Okay, so you leave Great Stirrup, you head back to Miami. How was the debark process?
It was not a problem at all. We had a flight in the afternoon, and we just usually stay on the ship until they kick us off. We just enjoyed a nice breakfast. We usually just find a little lounger and sit there till they say last call. So we carry our luggage. We just have carry-ons. We walked right off. Now we're back into this. It took forever to get a lift. We were trying to go to an area called Wynwood Walls. I don't know if you're familiar with that. I thought we had a couple hours. We could do that. It's like an outdoor street art museum and area, part of Miami there. So Lyft kept dropping me and nobody was picking up our ride. And we were thinking like maybe because if they're going to fight that traffic, they wanted a higher fare. They wanted somebody going all the way to the airport maybe. So after like over an hour and, my husband was getting really nervous about getting to the airport. He goes, I think we should just go to the airport and forget going to this other area. So as soon as we put, the Uber or the Lyft into the airport, somebody picked us up. It still took quite a bit of time to get there, but not near as bad as it was getting there to get out. They had like a different exit that it seemed like he skipped most of the traffic. It said like taxis, and I think they could use like a secret little exit or whatever because he was a ride share. So that was kind of cool. And they do have some yummy airport, like Cuban food at the airport in Terminal D for people going on American, by the way. That's a little note there. I don't remember the name of it, but it was like kind of like a local place. It was really great.
Any first-time tips to offer someone sailing on Norwegian Aqua?
Yeah, Vibe. I don't know if I've said that enough. If you can get it, get it. And I know the complaint, right, of this ship is that they most of Norwegian ships, that they devote too much space for an upcharge. And I understand that. It's true, right? The Haven and the Vibe does take a lot of real estate. But I think they did a good job on this ship by dedicating, deck 8 all the way around, with a lot more areas other than just the main pool. Take some time to explore. I mean, everything seemed to have like textures, like all the walls had textures, all the lighting fixtures were like different materials and everything. I mean, it was just really a beautiful ship. It's very visually pleasing on this ship. The walking to the theater, all the lighting, different colors, and inside the theater, they just did a really good job putting a lot of attention to detail. And go and try the new foods, right? It's a perfect place. And indulge, like it's perfect for sharing. It's only a couple bites each one. So get it. Try that Indian food you've never tried or something. If you don't like it, order something else, And also, right, as of right now, there's no drink limits on Norwegian. So try a drink that you might not want to spend $25 in Miami to buy, if you didn't like it. So anyway, it's no big deal. Just try everything, as expensive as things are. Yeah, you have that, right? You've already paid for all you can eat and drink. So take advantage of that when you can.
Yeah.
And that's another thing my husband mentioned. He said it seemed like they were always trying to sell me something on this cruise. And I guess I didn't really notice, but that was something because I tried to get his final takes on this. And he said, I don't feel like I felt that way when we went to Alaska. But I guess he felt really pressured on this cruise for whatever reason. But I just feel like that's how they all are now. They're all trying to get you to buy something.
What was your biggest highlight of this cruise?
First of all, being on a ship, a new ship, a beautiful new ship, seeing a part of Caribbean we've never been to before. And I just love the direction that NCL went there with this new ship and the new design. We went to the Cruise Next presentation, and they explained with the Prima class that they moved the engine into the middle of the ship, and that's how they could use all this outdoor aft space. And I think it was a great design change. It was just beautiful.
Was the value there for the price you paid?
Oh, yes. With that casino offer that I had, magical casino offer, don't know how I got that, but I guess I gambled too much last time. And with the inside room, I feel like I got a large value.
And your final thoughts of Norwegian Aqua?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned, the golf and the darts, that technology. I mean, it's really cool. It's just kind of starting to go awry. Hopefully they can fix that. I mean, that's just a nitpicky thing. It didn't, affect my cruise negatively at all. Great crew. I don't even think I mentioned that. Not only the vibe, which were just my favorites, of course, but I mean, everywhere, that's one of the things we like about Norwegian. I think they really have a great crew. Don't listen to the bad reviews. Unless you want to spend 24 hours in that buffet, I mean, I can't see any other real big downfall of this ship, really nothing to worry about. But the views are just, people just love it or hate it. And I guess I'm team love it. If you like NCL, like it, and I think your other person said, keep an open mind. And that's exactly it. It's not like any other design of any other Norwegian ships. These Prima class are totally different. And I really love it. I think it's beautiful. I think it seems more upscale and modern than their other thing. Maybe even a more adult vibe. There were some things for kids, but not overly amount of things. And I didn't see that many kids, but it's right after the holidays. They're probably all back in school. I was expecting to not see too many children, but it was wonderful. Just make your own, watch some videos, make your own opinions, and hopefully you'll love it as much as we did.
We've been talking with Amy and getting a very detailed review of the brand new, almost a year old Norwegian Aqua. Amy, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on.
Just back from a cruise? Let's talk about it. Email Doug at cruiseradio.net.
A big question we get at Cruise Radio is, how do I know if I need trip insurance? Simple answer. If you're getting on a plane, taking a road trip, or getting on a cruise ship, you need to have travel insurance. Hey, it's Doug Parker from my friends at tripinsurance.com. Not only does tripinsurance.com protect your vacation investment, but it also gives you peace of mind in case anything were to go wrong on your trip. How do they do it? They offer 3 different types of trip insurance policies. Good, better, and best. One policy for every vacation budget. But it doesn't just stop there. They're up to 40% lower when you shop around on other comparison sites. Plus, tripinsurance.com offers 24-hour customer support before, during, and after your trip, online claims assistance, and travel alerts to let you know what's going on at your destination. But find out for yourself. Check out tripinsurance.com.
All right, Dougie, let's see what we got for you, buddy.
Cruise Radio is produced at the tripinsurance.com studios in Jacksonville, Florida. Get cruise news, ship reviews, and money-saving tips every Thursday on Cruise Radio. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the show. If you want to help spread the word, give Cruise Radio a 5-star review. Find Cruise Radio where you listen to your favorite podcast or online at cruiseradio.net. I'm your announcer,